Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. And in the program today, Malawi and other African countries have been challenged to consider working towards ending the persistent power wars. And also in the program, stakeholders in the tea industry need mega farm. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. My name is William Kumwembe, and in our main story in the program today, Malawi is hosting the 57th Association of Power Utilities of Africa APWA meetings in Lilongwe, where a call has been made on African countries to work towards addressing power generation challenges. This was said by Abel Taylor, who is the Director General of APWA, when he was addressing delegates during the opening of the session. He caught up with our journalist, McDonald Tom, in Lilongwe.
I'm Abel Taylor, Director General of the Association of Power Utility of Africa. We came here to have a series of meetings this year. The annual meeting is the 57th one. We'll be having the scientific committee meeting that will start today. And after this, we have the steering committee of the African Network of Center of Excellence in Electricity, our capacity building initiative. Later on, we have a CEO forum with the African Development Bank and our partner GETCO from China. And we have our board meeting, the security committee meeting, and the General Assembly of the association to conclude with the series of meetings. The expectation is that our member will gather here for those 5 meetings a week. And our annual meeting is to take stock of what we have been achieving during the year. A part of, we start for the expert. We have 5 study committees in various issues tackling to access to energy, energy efficiency, renewable energy promotion, customer management, financing of the sector, as well as standardization and governance and strategic leadership in the power sector. We promote good governance through those committees who can study cross-issue, cross-cutting issue to belonging to all utility and come out with solutions that based on social cooperation, because Africa is diverse. Africa is a continent, not a country. 55 countries with different level of development. So the problem that some country or utility are facing today have been already solved by other countries. So they bring their experience on board to share good practices. That is the base of this first meeting of the scientific committee. The expectation that our experts can come out with solutions who can help us to improve the governance of the sector, because some countries have load shedding, some countries have not enough green power in the mix, some countries are having tremendous problem with the customer management. So all this together, we share experience to make all African countries developing in the same path. Challenges start just from energy access. As you know, we have part of our population in Africa without any modern access to electricity. The second one is aging infrastructure. Many countries have a challenge how to expand the network and how to modernize the existing network. All this brings to financing issue, financement. Another is energy efficiency. In Africa, many countries have not reliable source of generation and high level of losses. We need to lower our level of losses to make more with what we have.
Now, electricity generation company Egenco says it is systematically positioned to make the most of the meeting and is committed towards contributing to addressing powers that have been crippling the local economy for some time. Its chief executive officer is William Liabunya.
And we're looking forward to quite a good time in the next 5 days that are coming. That people at the level of the leaders of the various utilities in Africa will be exchanging ideas. We are there to share our experiences and also learn from other people's experiences. And I believe at the end of the day, we stand as a country to gain out of this, that as utilities in Malawi we gain, and also our colleagues should gain from us. So this, I believe, will help us as a nation, and more especially us as the utilities, ESCOM and the Egenco, that we should do up our game, that we can make our services better than what we are.
You've mentioned of your experience in terms of the effects that the cyclones have had in your operations. What do you expect from the forum in terms of knowing how to handle such situations?
We have learned a number of things from the experience that we've had. You recall 2022, we had a cyclone. This year, 2023, we had a cyclone which was much stronger than the one in 2022. 2019, we had another cyclone. And before that, we had droughts. So you could see that the climatic situations are affecting us a lot. But out of it, we have learned a lot. If you recall, the cyclone 2022 had a very bad effect on us, that we lost Kabechila Dam. But when you look at Cyclone Freddy in 2023, we were able to manage it because of the experience that we learned from the previous year. We applied those experiences, and here we are, that we could come out of the cyclone and immediately start generating. And these are the things that our colleagues are looking forward to learn. You may have seen that we have other colleagues that are coming from China, others are coming from France, we have others from Canada, and some of these people that are coming are equipment manufacturers, and others are looking at investing. So we expect that at the end of this interaction, we should also be in a better footing, that we can have increased investment in as far as power generation is concerned in the country. Yes, the environment is quite conducive. After the reforms that we went through in 2016, we created such an environment. Of course, there could be some areas that we need to polish up, and this forum also gives us an opportunity that we learn how best we can polish up those areas, that we can have such a destination for investment in the energy sector. I may not be exact on those, but as you recall, we have to have the proper investment mechanisms. The trading, power trading is another area, and also, most of these are, when you talk of solar, you need a lot of areas that the solar panels should be. How easy is it to get the land? All those things are things that we can also learn from our colleagues.
Now moving on to agribusiness news. Stakeholders in the tea industry have called on the government to consider the mega farms concept in the sector towards addressing challenges the country has been facing in as far as forex generation is concerned. Tea is one of the top export crops for Malawi, and the country is second top producer of tea after Kenya. This was made in Mulanje when the Tea Research Foundation held its symposium. Our journalist, Kumwembe, was there, and he has since filed this report.
Tea Research Foundation of Central Africa Chief Research Scientist Nicholas Mpangwe says, among other things, uptake of new technologies such as cultivars has been a challenge among commercial growers due to limited land. He says if adoption of the new materials is enhanced, the characteristics that are needed to cement Malawi's market position will be achieved.
The uptake for cultivars becomes a bit complicated because of the limitation for land. The commercial growers especially don't have land to expand. So which means it's a critical decision, economic decision they have to make to uproot the ODT and put in a new variety. But having said that, as we're discussing, we're actually demonstrating the trend that has been there. When we started with the old seedling teas, people started using the cultivars, and now, as of 2019, we are around 42% of the total area for tea in Malawi being planted to the cultivars, whereas the other 58 is still under seedling or unselected materials. So there is uptake, but the major limitations are those in terms. It's an expensive process to uproot and replant. That's why our hope is on the smallholders who still have stretches of small pieces of land where they can actually just extend their current field stand in form of expansion. That's why we periodically do what we call cultivar performance surveys. The first one was done in 1998, where we were still in the regional setup. We had Malawi, Zimbabwe, and South Africa covered. The other one in 2001 and the 2014. So the idea is to go out to the estates, see the cultivars they have adopted, how they are performing, and then they also give us feedback. And then we encourage each other on advantages of taking up these new materials. Because admittedly, they also appreciate the changes in climate, the changes in market demands. So the need is well appreciated. But these are the challenges probably that slows down the process.
Trust Africa Southern Africa Region Coordinator Beatrice Makwenda says there is need to prioritize the tea sector through public and private sector players' support.
For us as Trust Africa, we are basically looking at the tea sector as one of that catalyzing sector that improves the economy, but most important also for the different stakeholders within the value chain, for smallholders, for the workers, and even just for the tea companies. Now, research or innovations, what maybe we call one of those disruptions that are needed for better performance of the sector. So a research symposium just brings the different actors in the sector together to look at what are the innovations that the Tea Research Foundation has done, and how can we enhance uptake both within the smallholder farming systems, but also just industry-wide, and really just to interrogate ourselves as to how then do we bring these innovations into use. So they supporting them or partnering with the Tea Research Foundation really just speaks to that, to say how then do we harness these innovations that are ongoing, and then ensure that we have a better inclusive, but also looking at sustainability of the tea sector in general.
And National Commission for Science and Technology Acting Director of Planning, Kondwani Victor Gondwe, commended Tea Research Foundation for its enterprise in research and establishing new technologies in the industry.
It is very, very essential, the way you have put it, because this symposium has a theme which is entitled Research, which is a backbone of sustainable tea cultivation in Malawi. So the farmers, the researchers, the academia, as well as the government representatives like NCST, which is a think tank or a regulator and a promoter of research in Malawi, we are listening to what the tea researchers have done to be able to promote what you call productivity in tea cultivation.
Malawi is the second largest producer of tea in Africa after Kenya.
Remember, you're watching Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, and my name is William Kumwembe. Moving on with the program, the Malawi Stock Exchange continued with an impressive performance in the month of May, evidenced by an increase in both traded value and volume. This is according to the May 2023 monthly report from the Malawi Stock Exchange. Our journalist Kumwembe Mangazi has been following trends year to date on the local bourse and has since filed this report.
A monthly market report published by the Malawi Stock Exchange indicates that the local bourse registered a positive return on index as reflected in an upward movement of the Malawi All Share Index to 102.8 thousand points in May from 86.4 thousand points registered in April. The market transacted a total of 119.5 billion shares at a total consideration of 11.3 billion kwacha in 1,330 trades during the month under review. This represents a 512.85 increase in share volume and a 645.15% increase in share value, from 19.5 million shares traded and 1.5 billion kwacha realized respectively in 657 trades in April. Market analyst Kondwani Makwakwa says there has been an increase in demand for stocks this year.
The performance on the market or the Malawi Stock Exchange in May generally has been good, with the Malawi All Share Index rising. And in terms of volume, we have seen a number of shares being traded in terms of the volume and the value of the trades. Well, I would say that this year in general, there have been demand for stocks, people anticipating the good performance, the good financial performance of the companies. And if we look at May alone, apart from that demand, I would also say that a number of players we are going into what we call growth period, whereby they are not supposed to trade up until the financial statements of the company are released. So we are looking at those companies that has got an year end of 30 June. So the regulation is that 30 days to reporting period, they are not supposed to trade until the half-year results are released. So they were trading before they can they would go into that growth period. But apart from that, we have seen that a number of companies have also released dividend earnings. So people are buying the stocks so that they can receive the dividend. So I would attribute the number of volume basically to these two reasons. Well, going into the future, well, it depends. It depends with the performance of the companies. Right now, in June, up to 30 June, we are waiting for companies to release what we call trading statements. Trading statements are those statements whereby the companies advises shareholder that their profit would differ either up or down by at least 20%. So it's a requirement. So assuming that those trading statements are good, positive, then we should expect a demand as people who anticipate good results, which also trigger the dividend payment as one of the benefits of holding shares.
Another analyst, Bond Ntembezeka, says the market will maintain the bullish run, at least in the foreseeable future.
The Malawi Stock Exchange has been doing really well. I think largely because most of the listed companies put out an impressive performance in 2022. And when they started releasing the financial statements around March, April, that kind of generated interest from the public and from the investing community. So I think it's been capitalizing and riding on that momentum ever since. And I'm sure it should sustain that momentum, at least in the foreseeable future. I expect the momentum to carry on, to carry off to June. I think history has taught us that when the Malawi Stock Exchange is in a bullish run like that, it really sustains itself like that. So, and we are in the harvesting season. Investors have a bit of money in their pockets. and I'm sure that the demand should be sustained on the market and should perform well as well in June.
Malawi Stock Exchange Chief Operating Officer Kelin Kondowe says the performance also entails that more people are becoming aware of the market.
Now, in other business news, Malawi Stock Exchange listed National Bank of Malawi has outlined an ambitious plan of becoming the best regional bank operating in 4 countries within the continent with over 2 million customers by 2027. The bank eyes a profit after tax of over $100 million by the time. This was said by NBM Chief Executive Officer Makfase Kawawa during a stakeholders meeting held in Blantyre recently. Our journalist Justin Mkweu reports.
National Bank of Malawi has a 5-year blueprint which has 5 pillars that want to make the bank the best digital bank operating in 4 countries with over 2 million customers and making a profit after tax of $100 million, which is 100 billion Malawi kwacha by 2027. This was the main agenda of the inaugural stakeholder conference which the bank had. NBM Chief Executive Officer Makfase Kawawa said the Malawi Stock Exchange listed bank was optimistic to achieve the goals, having attained aspirations written in its previous strategic plan, which ran from 2018 to 2023, which includes successful acquisition of a controlling stake in Akiba Commercial Bank in Tanzania.
We completed our last strategy last December. This was a 5-year strategy that ran from 2018 to 2022. The central theme of that strategy was customer centricity through digitalization. So I did highlight to the shareholders, what we achieved in that strategy period, which mostly was to do with the gains in the digitalization space. I highlighted several platforms and the initiatives that we've introduced that are mostly to do with retail customers' ability to transact using phones, ability to transact at agencies using simple technologies and so on. I also highlighted that we've introduced deposit taking ATMs and so on.
NBM Board Chairperson Jimmy Lipunga said the conference is one way of engaging the stakeholders and appraising them on the performance and plans. He rated the forum as a pillar of good corporate governance, which demands that apart from interacting with shareholders, customers should also be engaged on a regular basis.
Prior to the onset of the corporate governance initiative, the emphasis was just on the majority shareholder and maybe the minority shareholder. But corporate governance dictates that we need to reach out. Customers are important stakeholders, lenders, borrowers, shareholders, employees, all, we owe them, an accounting on how we have performed as a bank. And so this will become a recurring feature. So every year you see us actually convening a stakeholders meeting to inform, shareholders and everybody on where we are, our aspirations, our strategies, so that everyone is appropriately informed.
One of the stakeholders, Vera Zulu, spoke highly of the conference, describing it as a long-awaited initiative from the bank.
I think this is a long-awaited initiative that National Bank have done to engage their stakeholders about how the company is being run and what are the initiatives that the company is trying to do over the next couple of years. I think it's a fair plan. It seems like the board and management are really thinking about making sure that National Bank remains a very strong company in the next couple of years. And as a shareholder, I'm really, really impressed with the plans.
NBM has subsidiaries such as NBM Development Bank, Stock Brokers Limited, and United General Insurance, among others.
Well, that report also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. My name is William Kumwembe. On behalf of the entire production team, thank you for watching and bye for now.